Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to take you step by step on how to color your character in Photopea. And this is going to be our quicker demo. For the longer demo, there's already a video posted to the general section you can see right over here, coloring my fashion figure in Photopea. This will be the long drawn out one. This one I'm going to do today is a little bit of a overview. So this one is we're going to add color. You can see there's a link right here to Photopea. You can click it from our general section. Should open up right away in your browser. Remember, this is a program that is only going to be online, which means that you have to save your work new every single time. Also, if you already started working on something, you can't just click on the file and hope that it'll open up here. You have to go to the actual website, open up Photopea, and then open it up from the website. So we're going to go open from computer, and what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for the photograph, and I got a lot of them, the photograph of my piece, and I'm going to find that and click open. Obviously you'll have less files on your computer than I do. Now when it opens up in Photopea, you should see your project right in front of you just like this. It may look a little dark or gray. That's going to be mattering on how you take your photograph. But to improve or fix that, we'll go up to Image, Adjustments, and we're going to go to Levels. Image, Adjustments, and Levels. A little window is going to pop up with levels, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that little bar graph down here. You can see your shape here might be very different than mine. That matters on what your picture looks like. But I'm going to take that top little white dot and I'm going to slide it this way to make my picture brighter. I don't want to do that with this one because you're going to see it's going to make it darker. I'm working on the top area alone. Then I'm going to go take the black dot on the opposite side. I'm going to slide it this way to make some of my dark lines a little darker. And then if you have some of this static like I've got, that's where you go to the gray one in the middle and you kind of play around with it. All you want to do is you want to brighten up your drawing so that it looks a little bit cleaner and better than it did from the photograph. If you see the preview button, I can click and uncheck that. That's what my picture looked like. That's what it looks like afterwards. You don't want to go so bright that you wash out all your detail. You don't want to go so dark that you make everything really heavy and black looking. This can be adjusted later on, but you can see right now my picture looks like it's on white paper for the most part. There's still a little bit of gray here, not a big deal. I'll hit OK. You can see down here in the background there's a smaller version of that. This is an important area for us to know. Now what I want to do is I kind of don't need the rest of this stuff in around it, so I'm going to crop it down. To crop this, I'm going to go to my toolbar on this side, and I'm going to go to the fourth one down. You're going to see what it looks like, two right angles. When you mouse over it, it tells you what it is, and we're looking for the crop tool. And it's going to give me a little plus sign. I'm going to click and drag. Drag a box. Now, if you didn't drag the box perfectly, you can always go to those little squares over here in the corners and resize it. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically cutting out everything that's not inside these boxes. To do that, I'm going to hit Enter, and now I have just my character. To zoom in and zoom out, I hold down the Control key and I press the plus or the minus. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to start by, I can start with any part I want. I'm going to start by coloring her sweater. So what I want to do to start coloring is I want to create a new layer. That new layer is going to be down here in our layers window. There's a garbage can. It's called delete. Next to it, it's a little square with a triangle in the corner. It's called new layer. When I click that, layer one's going to appear. You see that checkerboard inside? That checkerboard means it's clear. There's nothing in it. I'm going to click just one time right on the word layer. I'm sorry, double click. Just on the actual word, not into the outside. On the actual word, and I'm going to rename this one. I'm going to rename this one sweater. If you're doing the skirt, name it skirt. If you're doing the hair, name it hair. Whatever part of your thing, each part of this drawing should have its own layer. And you should name them. If you double click on this part of the actual layer window, you're going to get something called layer style. We don't want that. So if you're clicking and you're getting this layer style, X that out. You want to change the name, double click on the word itself. All right, now you can see that layer is selected. You see it's like highlighted. All right, I'm going to click on background, that's highlighted. I don't want a color on the background. This is a very big issue. So to protect my background, I'm going to click on background and hit the lock. That locks it so I can't really screw it up. Now if I try to paint on the background, it's going to give me an error message. I'm going to go back to sweater. Now to pick the color for my sweater, I'm going to go to my toolbar. The very bottom there are two boxes. They may not be the same colors that you see on mine. The top box, the one higher up, if you click on that one, you're going to get the color picker. That color picker window gives you the ability to switch and change the color that you have. Now, it's not super important that you pick the exact color you want right now, because if you put every piece of the clothing on a different layer, you could change the color very easily later on. I'm going to go with a sort of pinkish color. I'm feeling pink today. When I have the color I want, you click on that spot in the box. This is what the new color will be. That's what the old color was, and you click OK. If you did this correctly, down in this box, you should see the color you picked. Now I'm going to go to the brush tool. If you can't find it on your actual toolbar, mouse over it, it should just appear as the brush tool. That little triangle in the corner means that there are multiple tools underneath it. Sometimes your brush is hiding as the pencil or the eraser. But if you press the letter B, and just the letter B, it should automatically switch to the brush tool. All right. When you have the brush tool, you'll notice up top right underneath our top menu, we have the option menu for that brush. So you see the brush right there. Next to it, you see a little number 15. That number could be different, but there'll be a circle, a number, and a triangle. If I click on that, you'll see another window opens up. That's the size of the brush. And you can see by adjusting it here, it makes that brush bigger or smaller. Be reasonable. If you're painting a small area, use a small brush. If you're painting a big one, use a big one. I like to use a smaller brush around the edges, and I like to fill in with a bigger brush. The hardness of this brush should stay at 100%. And now I'm going to start painting. If I click and drag, you'll notice color is coming out of my brush. But it's also covering my drawing. Not exactly what I want. So to make this see-through, so I can see the color and my drawing at the same time, I'm going to go to that layer I created called sweater. And above sweater, you're going to see the word normal. I'm going to hit the drop down and switch to multiply. When you switch to multiply, you'll notice that whatever marks you make with that paintbrush are now being multiplied with everything else there, which, just roughly means you're going to be able to see through it. Now, you don't want to multiply your background. You don't want to paint anything on the background. But like this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue to paint my sweater over here. Now, you want to kind of try to be as accurate as you can around the edges, but if you should make a mistake, you can always try to fix it. So one of the things I could do is I can kind of, oops, I made a mistake right over here. So the easiest way to undo it is hold down the Control key and press the letter Z, like 0. When I press Z, it undoes what I just did. All right? So that might be when you make an instant mistake, you might want to just undo it. But let's just say I'm working like this, and I colored a lot of these parts over here, and then oops, now I made a mistake. If I undo this, it's going to undo everything that I just did. So what you might want to do instead of that is use the eraser tool. So even if you're not really perfect around the edges, I'll show you how you can fix that in a second. I'm just going to finish coloring this. Make my brush a little bigger so I can cover more ground. Finish painting the top part of her sweater. And then I'm going to paint the bottom part underneath her arms. And you can see I'm doing a sloppy job, and I'm not really staying inside the lines. So now to fix this, what I can do is I can go back to my toolbar. Now, mattering on how big your screen is selected, you might already see the eraser tool. But if you don't, you're going to look for it. It's called the eraser tool, and the shortcut for it is just pressing the letter E. The eraser tool works the same way. You see the same options up top. And one of them is to adjust the size of the brush. And the hardness, once again, should stay at 100%. So now I can use the eraser tool to come back in, sort of clean up stuff. And this time, if I don't like the way I clean it up, I can just undo things. I'll go in and I will fix up my edges and fix up any of the parts that I didn't paint correctly. So as long as you know how to use the brush tool, the eraser tool is the exact same thing. All you have to do is find it on your toolbar. Let's just say that you're done with the sweater. I want to paint the skirt now. I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer for the skirt. I click new layer. You see a new layer has appeared. I'm going to double click on the word layer 1, rename that skirt. I'll go to my color picker. I'll just pick a different color. And then I'm going to go switch back to my brush and I'm going to start painting. And when I start painting, you'll notice the same thing that I did last time. When I start painting, it sort of covers up all my pencil drawing. This is a new layer. I have to go on that new layer, change it from normal to multiply, and then you'll see the lines going right through it. And you can go ahead and paint the rest of that. So all you really know for this demo is how to create a new layer, how to change it from the regular normal to the multiply. We're going to change and adjust the colors by using the color picker. And then if you need to use the eraser to fix things, then we can use the eraser to fix things. Now, picking the colors is an important part of being a fashion designer. You obviously want to have a plan of what colors you're going to use. But I'm here to tell you, if you decide tomorrow you want it to be a different color, you don't need to erase everything you did and redo it. The last little bit that I'm going to show you over here is how to adjust the colors after you've already painted it. You can see I'll go through there, I'll go back, I'll switch to my eraser tool, and then again I'll come and clean up when I got out of line. And you could spend all the time you want cleaning up and erasing, making it perfect. I know some of you will take a lot of care in what you're doing, but let's just say after the fact here I've decided, you know what, this is a terrible combination. I hate the purple skirt, the sweater, it doesn't make sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust and change it and make it a little different. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm on the skirt layer. I'm going to go to Image. I'm going to go to Adjustments. And I'm going to go to Hue and Saturation. Hue is a fancy word for color. Saturation is how much color, how rich that color is. Is it a really bright color or is it a really dull color? If I go to the hue bar and I start sliding that center part back and forth, you're going to see it changes the color of the skirt. Now, if I colored everything on one layer, it would change the color of everything. So we want to have control. We can come back here and I can decide, you know what? I think I like this more with like a blue skirt. But I'm going to go mess with the saturation and decide, do I want it to be really densely blue or do we want it to be more gray? And I kind of like this sort of gray-blue lavender color. I can mess with it further with the lightness where I can make it really dark. I can make it sort of more pastel. And I think my eye tells me that I like this a lot better than what I just had. You can click the preview button to see what it used to look like and see what you changed it to. I'm going to hit OK, and that will keep my thing. If I decide tomorrow I want to change the sweater, I click to the sweater thing, I go to Adjustments, I go to Hue and Saturation, I can decide I want to make it a much brighter sweater, much richer color, and change it then. So as long as you keep each part of your clothing on a different and separate layer, we can change these things. If you put everything on the background, well, you're going to create a real mess that we can't fix. We won't be able to see through these things. So for every part of this character, everything from the skirt, the shirt, the sweater to the skin color, are things that you should make a new layer for. I'm going to make a layer for skin. I'm going to go to my color picker. Best thing for skin color is slide the bar to like an orange, and between that sort of like light to middle orange, you should be able to find a whole array of everything from like Caucasian skin to darker, browner, or blacker tones. So you can find the color you want. Same thing that we've been doing before is paint it on its own layer. You can even go back tomorrow and change your character's skin color if you really wanted to, or lighten them or darken them. So that is coloring our character. That is the faster version of my demo. And for those of you who needed a little bit of a review, well, there's your review. For those of you who need a lot and need to see this again and again, this video will be posted. But the other video that I posted earlier from before the break is a little bit more in depth. It goes through each step a little bit slower. So if you are a little bit lost, that is the right video for you to be watching. If you're not lost and you just need a refresher, this is the video you should look at. Again, I'll finish this one in a second and post it. And more importantly is that we should all be focused on getting at least one of our figures painted and colored, and then we're going to be doing at least one more drawing before the end of the marking period. So let's just keep that in mind. I know some of you have had issues where you couldn't get to work all the time, or you had issues with computers or with your health or your family. I know other ones of you have kind of been taking it easy, a little too easy. So what I'm going to just tell all of you is, hey, listen, we've got 10 days of the marking period. No excuses. Let's get this stuff done. With that, I'm going to kind of stop this video right now and post it.